Justice must never be for sale. This is President Tinubu's warning to Nigerian judges, highlighting concerns over corruption, case backlogs, and undue influence in the judiciary. And so today, we'll be speaking with Chukwuemeka Ogudo. He's a lawyer to discuss on what this means for Nigerians and the court and the idea of justice for sale. He is a lawyer joining us via Zoom from the US. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I hope you're good too.
Yes, I'm well.
Now, how would you describe, speaking of justice for sale, how would you describe the judicial system in Nigeria and the idea of justice for sale?
Judicial system in Nigeria is still growing. We are less than 68 years old right now, so we are still growing. We are learning, but judicial justice for sale has three tenets. Uh, Number one is corruption. Number two is inequality due to socio-economic status. And number three is lack of trust and accountability on judiciary and law enforcement, because you cannot talk about judiciary without law enforcement. But I'm going to start with corruption, if I may. It has an influence of money and power on judicial decisions, and uh, people with the money, they get the best judicial decisions, they get the best access. The same thing, people with power, they get similar access and similar decisions, unlike those without money and power. So that is when it comes to corruption. And then when it comes to inequality, you talk about poverty and cycles of poverty, implicit bias, unconscious bias, economic instability, and unfavorable outcomes. These are all part of the inequality due to the socio-economic status. And then the last tenet is about the law, lack of trust and accountability on the judicial process. Does the common man on the street trust the judicial process? The average common man, I don't think so, because they know they don't have the access to the judicial process and the law enforcement. So, like I said earlier, these are the three tenets of justice for sale. Like I said, corruption, inequality due to socioeconomic status, and then the lack of trust.
All right, then let's look at the lapses here. What factors exactly contribute the most to the idea or the perception that justice can be bought in Nigeria?
Because people are used to the same thing. If they say, we're going to do it the same way everybody is doing it, this has been ongoing for years since independence. So it's people have seen it happen uh, uh, from the top and from the low places in government and from the street. So people know this is how it's happening, and people believe that there is no accountability, there is no rule of law, and people in power and people with money are the ones that have access to judicial process more than the men and women on the street.
Now, you spoke about corruption earlier as one of the issues surrounding this idea of justice for sale. But I would like you to expand more on how widespread this corruption is or is not, in our court system. If it's isolated just to personal pockets or it's a more systemic issue in the system generally.
Oh, corruption is systemic. It's because I know corruption goes in high places and bribery and corruption goes in low places. So those are the top. Those are the hem. They are corrupt. They take bribes. They take money. They are bought. They sell their conscience. They sell their moral compass. And those in lower places, they toe the lines of the people in high places. and everybody has joined in the train. So this is just an endemic way of life. This is part of our life, part of our system. And if you go to the airport, the same thing. You go to the higher places, the same thing. You go to the restaurant, it's everywhere. It's just a way of life, and it's hard to remove unless we start accountability. Accountability. That's about the only way we can stop this. But as far as endemic is concerned, yes, it is endemic. It is our way of life. It's the way it's like we breathe it. We breathe corruption. It's part of the system. It's part of what we do, part of our life. And I don't know if we have any solution right now until we start thinking and looking at ourselves in the mirror that, okay, you know what, this is about time we're going to stop these practices.
Okay, let's look at the security system in Nigeria and how it affects it. How does the police corruption affect the fairness of justice processes?
The police, the behavior is brutally obvious and utterly obvious to the common man. Um, uh, I don't know what we're going to do to the police force for now, but we we have a long ways to go. Unlike the more Western nations, um, the police is without. If the police can cure themselves, it's going to trickle down to the judiciary. As much as if the judiciary can cure themselves, it's going to trickle down to the law enforcement because they go hand in hand together. But I know the police for now is very, very corrupt, both in high and lower places. So we bet we have a long ways to go. But there are solutions, though. Honestly, there are solutions.
Now, before we get to the solutions, there have been issues that have been widely reported concerning the judicial system, which was also discussed during this meeting. The issues of judicial backlog, archaic procedures, and the likes. Now, what would you say are the factors that lead to this backlog in handling cases or prolonged cases in the court, even when it seems that there is no point of dragging the cases and other procedures in the judicial system? Why is it so? What is the problem exactly?
The problem is, I know I'm not going to blame colonialism, and uh, the bureaucracy. Number one is a problem. Number two, it has also to do with tribal and ethnic um, undertones. But I know we can employ staff. I know we can reward them pretty well. I know we can train them pretty well. I know we can have policy changes, And then also there's lack of accountability. These are all the problems I know that are going on with the judicial system. But we have solutions, and those are the causes anyway. And there are solutions for anything. There's always a solution for any problem.
All right then. So let's look at how does lack of legal aid impact the poor in seeking justice as well.
Ooh, that's a very good question. The poor, number one, they don't have money. There's no money. Um, they are poor, like you said. They lack access, and we have to educate the poor. We have to encourage pro bono services for the poor. We have to make policies that will encourage the poor to have confidence in the judicial system. We have to make the quality of life, improve the quality of life for the people, and uh, create jobs, build infrastructure. These are part of the reason why we have to improve accountability in judicial process and law enforcement. Economic development. These are part of the system. Quality of life, jobs, and confidence in the judiciary and law enforcement. So these are all the reasons. They all come together, and no, they're all interconnected, and there's a correlation between poverty and lack of access. And if we could start improving the quality of life building infrastructure, creating jobs, and then I think we have a very over 50% chance of making progress.
Right, but still speaking about, where the poor standing all of this, we see that most of these legal aids or pro bono cases, like you mentioned, are often underfunded. So, as part of the solutions to solve this problem, what do you think can be done by the government or the Barr group to, expand meaningful legal aid to reduce this issue of the poor not having access to legal help?
Make the make the practice of law more rewarding for those lawyers that are entrenched in pro bono services. Make it more rewarding for them. Um, Improve the remuneration for the practitioners. Improve access. Build infrastructure for the judiciary. And then also employ staff in the judicial sector that will help people to have access, like in the offices, the judicial offices. People are there to assist the poor people, guide them with the forms and procedures of the practice. Some of them may not have money to employ a seasoned attorney, and then sometimes they may be able to do things by themselves, like self-help. And those are the ways we can make it more affordable and for the poor. And there are so many things the government can do, yes, but it takes money and investment for them to do all those.
All right, let's just touch a bit on the conference that was held and some of the controversies that have been coming up as a result of that. One of which is the video that circulated showing the judges apparently joining in on the song, the "On Your Money We Shall Stand" song, which is a political anthem associated with our president. And we've seen a lot of critics coming out to, critique or talk about this incident that occurred during that conference. Some scholars and some people in the political space. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that action. Both as a legal person, if it was the right thing to do to joining on the song, and all the reactions that have been coming up due to this incident.
Oh, but yeah, I believe I saw some of that. It's not easy to be a leader. We have to be part of the solution. We have to prefer solutions, and it's not easy for those at the helm of power or helm of affairs in the country. But we also have to find ways to help. It's okay to criticize the government. It's amazing. It's wonderful to criticize the government, but we also have to become part of the solution. And reasonable solution, reasonable criticisms and stuff like that. We can't just kill the government like that. We have to become part of the solution. And becoming part of the solution is by writing, participating, civic responsibilities, and all this other stuff. But standing on the sideline and criticizing and singing may not even help. It's good, though, but we have to find ways to channel our anger and solutions to the right places and be able to assist the government in becoming. But then also start from the grassroots development, find ways to help people, find groups, working groups that can find ways to channel their decisions and their ideas to the right authorities. But grassroots movement is very important. So those are the ways we can help the government. But criticizing is not enough. We have to become part of the solution. So
Yes,
those are
I
my
understand
ideas.
you. I understand where you're coming from, but where I'm coming from is I'm asking about the judges who partook in joining in the song. We are seeing that people like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is condemning it, saying that the judges were not supposed to be a part of that song singing. And we also see people like Chidio Dinkalo and a number of other people saying that the judges are not supposed to have stood up to join in the song of "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand." So that is the angle I'm coming from, the critic on the judicial system and the judges who stood up to be part of that song.
The judges should be unbiased. The judges should stand aside. The judges should not be seen. They should not be heard. They should not participate in such open stuff. It's not good. It makes them become sellouts. So they should find a way to remove themselves from that. It's unnecessary. They need to conduct themselves with decorum, like professional decorum. They don't have to do all that. It becomes so crazy, and the people are not going to give them enough respect. So the judges, for them to be singing that, it's not good. I don't like that. They should not be heard. They should not become spectators. There might be spectators, but they should not be heard. They should stand aside and observe and find a way to help the system, because they don't have a good reputation in the first place. So they are notorious. So for them to join in, it makes them even more notorious. And that's not good. So they need to stand aside and observe and find a way to help the system instead of becoming part of the problem, because they are notorious. I see where the other critics are coming from. That makes a lot of sense. So the judges are putting themselves in harm's way by doing all that, making themselves look like they are too political. They are not supposed to be political. They're supposed to be apolitical. They are not supposed to do all that stuff. So by them engaging, it becomes like they are politically canvassing. They become politicians instead of judges by them doing that. So they have changed their color and turned into politicians by them singing all that stuff. They're not supposed to be doing that.
All right, then let's look at how people that are being detained are yet to face trial and how this also affects the Nigerian justice system. In what ways do long court delays undermine justice for ordinary Nigerians?
I know. Remember, I talked about socioeconomic status, and socioeconomic status is affected by education, background, knowledge, and all this other stuff. Where you live, the kind of money you make, and detention issue. We have detention issue in Nigeria. We don't have enough. Most of our stuff we do is so punitive. It's not rehabilitative. We have unfavorable bail. We have unfavorable outcomes. These are all due to economic instability, poverty, cycles of poverty, implicit bias. But we have to make bail affordable for people. Bail should be affordable, and bail, because it's a constitutional right. So we have to make bail affordable for the poor people and make detention process so also affordable, so that people don't have to suffer and go through that process. It's not good. It makes us look like we are still learning the democracy, learning the system. But the Constitution was very clear. Detention and bail should be very easy, should be very affordable. It's not going to be punitive to people. When it becomes punitive, and then it doesn't make sense. So those are the things that we need to look into. We need to policy changes anyway, starting from the NBA and up until the end, the top. So we have to make changes, and those are about the only way we can make bail and detention affordable and not punitive to the people.
All right, let's look at some of the solutions that can profit to this particular issue on the ground. What role can the civil society, the media also play in shaping and exposing the judicial corruption?
Wow. The media has a long way to go. I'm going to start with the media. The media has a long way to go. They need to be very investigative. report things the way they are, and report it at the right time, appropriate time, without minding whose ox is gold. They need to open up, report things the way they are, and stop looking the other way when things happen. So when the media start doing that, the nation will get better, because the media is supposed to be the fourth estate of the realm, but they are not doing their job. And so the media has a long way to go. And for the people, we have to start from the scratch. We have to become part of the solution. The citizens, I mean, it's almost like somebody. If you're at home, you have to do your bed. You wake up in the morning, you do your bed, you do your dishes, you clean your house, you sweep your house. The same way citizens should approach governance and citizenship and accountability. There are duties and obligations of being a citizen. The same way we have expectations from the leaders, we as citizens, we also have expectations. So we, the citizens, have expectations that we have to follow and fulfill. The media, too, as the fourth estate of the realm, also have their own expectations to report, to investigate, and be accurate and very objective in what they report, so that the nation will be going afloat in positive ways.
All right, you just said that we have expectations from the leaders as well, and not just the media. So, looking at the leaders, how does political influence shape prosecutorial decisions in Nigeria?
Can you phrase it again? I love that question. Can you say it again?
I asked how does the political influence shape the prosecutorial decisions in Nigeria?
Wow, political influence. That's a very powerful one. Those in power, let's start with political influence. Those in power have influence from the get-go. So they dictate what's going on, they dictate policy, they are the executive. From the very first go, they dictate everything. So if they can temper, tone down what they do, um, become leaders, maybe I'm not going to say they should serve. They're not going to become leaders. They should be servants. They should serve the nation with empathy. So, because there's no empathy in leadership. In their leadership, they have to be. They have to show some empathy. Great leaders have empathy, and once you have empathy and vision, they should be able to. It trickles down like a domino effect. Affects the judicial system, affects the law enforcement, affects everybody. Because those people know that our leaders are responsible, they are obligated, and they are ready to become servants of the people and servants of the Constitution, not just dictatorial leaders. Uh, but we need leaders that have empathy. And similarly, we need citizens that are also part of the solution. So, but leadership, anybody could be a leader. Leadership come from anybody. But the leaders have to be very, very empathetic, very, very obligated to serve as not just emperors. And those are basically one of those things that we need to look at. Look at ourselves in the mirror and say, hey, what are we doing wrong? We don't have quality leaders. Our leaders most of them are selfish, because everybody is thinking about their wallet and their pocket, and that's not good. So we need leaders that have vision, leaders that can make sacrifices, and leaders that can be very influential in making sure the country is moving forward.
Now, from what you've said about the kind of leaders that we should have, who are empathetic and, are not after their own personal interests, and looking at the quality of our leaders that we have currently in the country, I would like you to just assess the situation and its impact on the judicial system. Do you see any positive improvement or positive change happening in our political and judicial system in the nearest future?
Oh, man. Oh, I need to see open-mindedness, transparency. They have to be open-minded. They have to be transparent in what they do. Oh, because I know the influence trickles down to the electoral process. If we take election, if we have elections today, the results should come out the same day, not the next day, not man-made problems like, oh, the machine broke down, stuff like that. When you start doing things like with transparency, the citizens are gonna trust you. They're gonna believe in you. So people have to be, the leaders have to be open-minded. They have to be transparent. They have to be accountable and to the people, and they have to engage the people too. It's not just staying away and staying like from a distance. They have to be very engaging to the people, the citizens, and the engagement is important. And then also improve the quality of life so that the people can trust you and say, hey, we trust our leaders, because when 98% of the people are suffering, there's no trust. So the leaders have to be more engaging. They don't just work for their own pocket. They have to also be very engaging with the citizens that are suffering.
Okay.
So open-mindedness, transparency, accountability, these are part of leadership.
Right. Now, just before we go, one of the issues that were discussed in this conference was, continual learning and ethic renewal. And so, looking at everything that we've discussed so far, the problems that we've highlighted, and you know, what the things that are affecting our system generally, how should legal education and continual judicial training help to, change the status quo and just emphasize on the ethics and public service instead of all these other unbecoming behaviors in the system?
Mm, wow. Ethical practice, morality, these are very important. And the world is growing. There are so many technological innovations coming up, and we have to be ethical judiciary. We have to be morally conscious of what we do as a nation, and we have to be open ourselves to continued learning about how the judicial system works in other countries, because it's very important. We have to learn from others as well. We are not going to be straight jacketed and put ourselves in the same box. We have to learn. We have to grow. Learn what other people are doing. When you start copying people, learning what they do, you are gonna learn. You are gonna grow. But we're not gonna just stay like obviously stay in our own small cave, and it's not gonna help us. We have to learn and learn and learn and do things the way other nations are doing it. But we have to make changes to suit our own environment. So, but learning with ethics, learning with morality, these are very important. And without those things, we're not going to be making progress.
All right, then I think this is where we call it a day. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Signature Morning Show, Mr. Chukwuemeka Ogudo.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Of course, the pleasure is ours. Our conversation was on the Nigerian justice for sale, and that's a question: is the Nigerian justice for sale, or is it not? And this is because of the conference that happened earlier on, where the president had met with the judges and all that. So, if you're just joining us, you can always revisit this conversation on our YouTube page. It will be uploaded shortly, and don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms. We are live on YouTube every single day and on SLTV Channel 264. We'll go on a short break and we will be right back.